From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Our top story this evening: at a press conference this morning, Alaska State Representative Chris Tuck said improving the safety of our military will be one of the highest priorities during the upcoming legislative session. He
and Senator Bill Wielechowski are introducing measures to update current regulations for the Alaska National Guard. The action comes in the wake of reports of sexual assault and misconduct in the Guard. Now, Tuck said a package of bills will be introduced that are the result of feedback from Guard members, veterans, and special interest groups. Former Guard soldier Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Blaylock was one of those responsible for reporting the problems that were occurring in the Guard and bringing them to light. He said while there may be questions about how the new rules will be paid for, these events have cost the Guard and its members a lot.
Talk about the price this is going to cost. You got to look at the price that we've already paid in the damage to the soldiers and the organization itself of losing perfectly good soldiers, the compromising of the discipline. Everything starts to fall apart from that point. So I'll leave it there for now.
A Fairbanks man accused of beating and threatening to kill a woman was arraigned this afternoon in Fairbanks District Court. 19-year-old Dale Wilder is charged with second and third-degree felony assault, as well as 2 additional counts of fourth-degree assault. Court documents say Wilder beat the alleged victim over a cheating dispute. At least 2 people, including Wilder's mother, were reportedly at home and witnessed the incident. The victim reported Wilder choked her and slammed her head against the floor, all while telling her he was going to kill her. During the assault, Wilder allegedly ordered his dog to attack the victim, but instead the animal ended up biting another person in the home. Bail for Wilder was set this afternoon at $5,000.
The case of a former female youth hockey coach accused of sexual abuse of a minor will not be heard by the state Supreme Court justices. The High Court elected not to take the case of 32-year-old Tara Layton, who was charged in 2011 with sexual abuse of a 14-year-old athlete 7 years earlier in 2004. The court was asked to take the case from a Fairbanks grand jury that was told it should, instead of may, return an indictment if they thought prosecutors had presented enough evidence. Judge Randy Olson threw out the indictment, but it was reinstated by the State Court of Appeals. Layton then went to the Supreme Court in November, but was turned down.
Alaska Governor Bill Walker will give a pair of addresses before a joint session of the Alaska Legislature next week. On Wednesday, Walker delivers his first State of the State speech. Then the following night, he will give the State of the Budget presentation. Walker spokeswoman Grace Jang says Alaska faces an unprecedented fiscal situation, and Walker wants to ensure he has enough time to discuss it. Jang adds that the State of the State address will touch on the governor's overall priorities, while Thursday's budget speech will talk about priorities as the state plans to make cuts. Alaska faces an estimated $3.5 billion budget deficit this year and a comparable amount next year amid plunging oil prices.
U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski is, quote, aghast that prosecutors in the late Ted Stevens ethics case will not be disciplined. Murkowski expressed great displeasure today following the news that the Justice Department attorneys responsible for withholding evidence in the federal trial against longtime Alaska Senator Ted Stevens have been cleared of all charges. In a press release issued today, Murkowski says the 2 attorneys committed serious misconduct in one of the highest profile cases in a generation, adding that Alaskan faith in the Department of Justice is eroding. Murkowski Communications Director Matthew Felling echoed the senator's remarks while chastising the DOJ and what he considers the flawed appeal system that cleared the 2 attorneys.
The internal discipline system at Department of Justice is so awful, and they can't even get that right, that these 2 gentlemen who have clearly committed ethical breaches are not going to be disciplined at all, because even the discipline that they tried to impose internally was done poorly and shoddily. So Senator Murkowski can't believe that this is happening.
Okay, when we come back, an alarm at Tanana Middle School had folks a little nervous this afternoon, but everything turned out okay.
That's right. Also, it's time for another Fairbanks Flavor segment with the spotlight on a low-fat broccoli zucchini pizza. Those stories are next. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. Fairbanks Fire Department said all was well after a report of smoke led to an evacuation of Tanana Middle School this afternoon. Fire personnel received the call shortly before 3 p.m. Now, they say people inside of the building smelled a strong odor of smoke and pulled the alarm. School was still in session and everyone was evacuated just to be safe. Firefighters on scene were able to clear the school and said there was no fire.
Possibility that the odor was just from the outside wood burning that's going on with heating systems. But people in the building had smelled the smoke, and so they activated the alarm to alert the people in there, because we got a lot of kids in the building and we wanted to make sure they were safe, and so they got everybody out just as a precaution.
A Fairbanks woman is asking for the public's assistance in finding her daughter. 16-year-old Sharina Snipes was last seen on January 4th in the Badger Road area. Her mother, Nicole, said although Snipes has left home before, she has never gone far. Snipes normally goes to family or friends' homes, but this time her mother says no one has heard from the young teen. Snipes is 5 foot 5 inches tall, weighs 143 pounds, and has dark brown hair with red highlights. Alaska State Troopers confirm she has been listed as a missing person. Anyone with information is asked to contact troopers at 451-5100.
Lost my 16-year-old daughter. I believe she's in some trouble and just need Fairbanks to come together and help find her. But I believe there's more to it. Just parents know when something's wrong, and something is definitely wrong.
Prospector Outfitters in the 1500 block of Cushman Street has reopened, and there were long lines of people waiting to get in today. Now, an early morning fire December 21st left the store closed, and people were apparently looking for deals today at an after this fire sale. Now, the blaze reportedly started in the basement of the business. 3 people were later arrested, accused of burglarizing the building after the fire occurred.
Okay, and now let's join Lisa Gambardella and guests in her kitchen as they make a healthy and tasty pizza. All right, apparently we are having technical difficulties, so we will try to get that fixed. We'll check with Lisa
later.
Absolutely. So right now, we'll throw it to the Sports Tees break. Joe Cook is coming up next with a preview of this weekend's Governor's Cup.
Plus, the UAF men's basketball team hits the road this week. Those stories and more when we come back.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here once again with your local Thursday sports. Emotions will be running high at the Carlson Center this weekend. The Governor's Cup Series starts right here in Fairbanks on Friday night. But this Gov Cup opener will be about more than just winning the game. Here's more.
Alaska will host the first 2 games of the Governor's Cup this weekend at the Carlson Center. They'll be playing with one of their teammates on their minds, Justin Woods. There will be a silent auction with over 90 items up for bid, including a signed Chad Johnson jersey and a signed Ice Dogs game-worn jersey signed by Woods, to name a few. Proceeds will go to Woods' medical costs as he battles Ewing sarcoma in Seattle.
It's all just to raise money for Justin and his family that are in Seattle right now and traveling back and forth and trying to get him better.
It means a lot to him and his family about the support that he's getting while he's going through his treatment, and we're certainly looking forward to getting him back healthy and to join us again.
As far as on the ice, the Alaska Nanooks have won 4 straight at the Carlson and 5 of their last 6 at home. UAA is on a 4-game losing streak, and they haven't won a road game all season. UAF has won the last 2 Gov Cups as well. The Nanooks tied number 7 Bowling Green last weekend after giving up 3 goals in the 3rd period in 2 nights. They're determined not to let that happen again, especially against their rivals.
This weekend against UAA, it's obviously going to be pretty ecstatic in the Carlson Center, so we're going to have to show the fans that we can hold on and finish out a game.
I always think it's one of the greatest rivalries in college hockey. Just, you know, how big it is. It's more than just a game. It's the whole state, you know, getting involved in it. So it's a lot of fun. You know, we want to enjoy it, but at the same time, we got to make sure we stay focused in on, you know, where the game's going to be decided, and that's going to be on the ice, and our preparation to be good and start the weekend off right Friday.
Puck drop is at 7:07 for Game 1 of the Gov Cup at the Carlson Center this Friday night.
The UAF men's basketball team will be on the road for one of the toughest road trips in the conference. The others, when teams come to Alaska, Thursday, UAF will play the MSUB Yellow Jackets. Then on their way back to Alaska, they stop to play Seattle Pacific. The Yellow Jackets are at the bottom of the GNAC standings with 1 conference win, while SPU is 3rd with a 4-2 record and 12-4 overall. Alaska will look to start another win streak. The Seawolves stopped the Nanooks' 3-game win streak last Saturday. Alaska's 2-3 in the GNAC and 5-8 overall going into this week's games. The Yellow Jackets have the best 3-point defense despite their record, while UAF is 2nd best in shooting the 3 at 37%. The Nooks haven't beaten the SPU Falcons since the 2006-2000 season. This weekend, head coach Mick Durham feels this team will have to take away what their opponents want to do.
MSU Billings wants to play fast, and so, you know, we definitely have to get back and get our defense set. And then Seattle Pacific is always the rebounding game. It seems to be the big thing there. You know, we've got to make sure that doesn't get away from us. And then hopefully offensively, we got to make some shots.
I mean, if everybody just does their part like Medina's rebounding and doing good stuff inside, and then Ruben on the wing and doing slashing and cutting and finishing like he does. So, I mean, if everybody just does their part, I think we'll be all right.
And the skates were sharp for Wednesday night's high school hockey game. The North Pole Patriots hosted the Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears in the only high school game in the interior last night at the Polar Ice Center. North Pole looking to bounce back after losing 7-2 to West last Saturday. They were down 3-2 in the second period. Carmine Teal provided 2 goals in just 21 seconds to put the Pats on top 4-3 in the second period. The Crimson Bears, they answered with a Nico Herbert goal to tie things up again at 4-4. Still second period. Then Logan Moser and Grant Answorth closed this one out for Juneau. They both had 2 assists and a goal, with Answorth getting the game winner at the 11:07 mark of the second period. After 4 ties, Juneau wins this MAC game 6-4. North Pole is 8-4 overall and 1-1 in the MAC, while Juneau improves to 7-7 and 2-1 in conference play. The Lathrop Malamutes and West Valley Wolfpack grappled in a wrestling meet at Lathrop High School. It was tit for tat in the early going of Tuesday night's meet. West Valley's Enrique Agnew got a pin in 1 minute 46 seconds in the 120-pound class, and Patrick Matheny won by pin after 1 minute and a second in the 138-pound class for Lathrop. The match of the night, though, was in the 170-pound class between Travis Phillips and Brandon Van Landingham. The two put on a show, reversing each other's pin attempts at critical points of the match, but Phillips would get the elusive pin late in the final round for Lathrop as he gets the win there. The Malamutes take this MAC showdown 36-27 over West Valley. Jack Dickinson, he also won in the 182-pound class as well. They'll have tonight off, but the Wolfpack will host the North Pole Patriots going into Thursday. The Patriots finished third at the John Tobin Invitational last weekend. All 4 MAC teams will compete in this weekend's Glenn Vandergraw Invitational, hosted by the Diamond Lynx in Anchorage. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with your Forward the Forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again, talking about weather. A very uneventful day across the interior, and it's not going to change. In fact, the weather pattern looks like it's going to be very stable all the way through the weekend into the first part of next week. We'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Photograph, once again, another beautiful sunset. This one taken on January 13th by Ron Plummer. Again, the gorgeous oranges and reds. A beautiful shot there. And as always, if you have a photograph you want to share with us, send it to photos@ktvf11.com, and we'll share it with the rest of the audience. Here's your almanac for this date. As you can see, today's high was 27 degrees. The low last night, 15. Right now, 21 degrees. The record high, 50 in 1981. And boy, was that year 1934 cold. It was really cold. The last few days, it's been 60s below. Last year, that year it was 64 below. The sunrise this morning was at 10:25. The sun set about 3:34 this afternoon, giving us 5 hours and 14 minutes of daylight. That's a loss, actually a gain, I should say, of 6 minutes. And the barometer is quite low. It'd be really scary if you had this in the lower 48, but you know what? We're so far north, it doesn't make any difference. So even though you have a low barometer, not a whole lot of storminess associated with it. In fact, you can see that on the satellite and radar. Just one little area of low pressure sitting over here, spinning around counterclockwise, helping to bring that moisture up. It is raining pretty heavily and windy across southeast Alaska, but that's about it. The rest of the state looking at fairly dry conditions, and again, a very lack of snow is going to be giving folks for the Iditarod a lot of nightmares, it looks like. Here's what's going on across the rest of the state. The rain is continuing to fall over southeast Alaska. Juneau at 44, Ketchikan 43. Around the Anchorage Bowl, a few scattered showers there, 38 at Anchorage, 41 degrees at Kodiak. Pretty good rain down around Cold Bay, 37 degrees there. But again, up and down the west coast, things look pretty nice. 20 degrees at Nome, Barrow at 9 below, and Fort Yukon 14 above. All right, let's head on to the lower 48, and we'll talk about more rain moving across the Pacific Northwest, all in association with a pretty good frontal boundary. We'll show you that in just a little bit. Temperature-wise, 72 degrees at Phoenix. A nice day in Denver, 55. Minneapolis above freezing finally, 35 degrees there. Over Texas, 56 at Dallas. New Orleans at 46. Miami up to close to 80 degrees, and over the northeast, New York a little chilly, 34 degrees on the satellite and radar. You can see a lot of rain moving across the southeast, but moving rapidly out over the Atlantic Ocean. Over the northeast, a little bit of a swirl of clouds there, bringing some snow shower activity to there. Central Plains looking really good, while the west coast is getting ready for more rain. In fact, you can see a pretty good boundary, a frontal boundary working its way up and down from Seattle right on down into parts of northern California, and that's going to continue. Now, as far as the jet stream is concerned, well, once again, with that jet stream roaring off the Pacific Ocean, that's why they're expecting so much rain, while cold temperatures are expected across the Central Plains and over the Great Lakes. A little bit of light snow there with rain over the northeast, but dry down to the south. All right, back to Alaska for tomorrow. The forecast for the northern sections, wind and snow in Barrow, with snow at Nome at maybe 1 to 2 inches there, and a little light snow expected for Fort Yukon, 3 degrees below zero for the high in Barrow. Here in the interior, mostly cloudy skies for Fairbanks, flurries in Delta, and mixed showers for Healy of rain and snow. Over southeast Alaska, the rains will continue. As you can see, rain for Juneau, wind and heavy rain for Ketchikan. While out to the southwest, it looks like for the most part, rainy at Cold Bay, freezing rain for Bethel, and scattered showers in the Kodiak region. And if you're heading in down the Anchorage area, it looks like cloudy skies at Anchorage, rain showers for Homer, and mixed rain and snow in Valdez. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather. Wrapping up this week with the kids from Salsha Elementary School. Only tonight, we're going to hear from the teacher with an interesting weather fact.
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Anderson. This is my 5th and 6th grade class here at Salsha Elementary School. I have a weather fact to share with you. Class, did you know that a waterspout is a small tornado that forms over water? One waterspout in Australia moved back over the land and dropped hundreds of fish onto the city.
What a mess that was, I can imagine. Thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. Next week, we're going to be visiting with the kids from Ticklestick Brown Elementary School. It is a Thursday night, which means it's time for our road conditions. The Dalton Elliott Highway, drifting snow, icy patches, and packed snow, kind of sloppy there. If you're heading on the Steese or Richardson Highway, slippery roads with icy patches, then there'll be snow removal equipment out on the higher elevations, so keep that in mind. And over the Parks Highway, black ice, frosted surfaces, and ice-glazed roads. So not real good driving conditions, but not too prohibitive. Our forecast for tonight, cloudy and not as cold with a few flurries, 14 degrees the overnight low. Tomorrow's forecast, another day just like today, 23 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, and the extended forecast calling for a little bit cooling trend. As you can see on Saturday and Sunday, temperatures in the mid-teens, and then dropping down by next Wednesday down to about 5 degrees above for the daytime high. The overnight low also dropping down. As you can see, there's 0 to 5 degrees below zero, and you'll also notice no snow in the forecast. So this wild weather is going to continue right on through the middle part of next week, it looks like. Maybe even 30 degrees by next Thursday.
That's just crazy. And, you know, the warmer temperatures coupled with the lower gas prices, I mean, it's pretty insane.
I know I bought in September, I bought 500 gallons of heating oil. Now, normally I go through about 800 winter. We're not even close to half,
You know, and the question is it good, is it bad? I posted that on Facebook today, and some people say it's great because they're saving money on gas, but then others fear for the Alaskan economy. So.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, people will have more money to spend on other things, so it helps out the economies, but it's a double-edged sword because our economy is based on the oil field. So it's really it's a hard one to figure out.
It sure is, but what's not hard to figure out is that this weather is awesome. I mean, there's just no better way to put it.
Well, it's interesting that it's such a mild winter on top of the fact that we haven't had much snow.
Yeah, and that doesn't look good for Iditarod either.
Right.
Hey, but one more thing before we go. I have a question for, I know my friends at home, if they're watching, they're voting for the Green Bay Packers to win. Who are you wanting to go to the Super Bowl?
I'd like to see somebody new. I'd like to see the Packers. Oh, no, it's going to be, well, the Packers are going to play either the Patriots or the Colts, too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be Packers and I think it'll probably be Seattle and the Patriots.
My son is voting for the Seattle Seahawks, so. I voted for the Buffalo Bills. Where did they go?
Oh, I don't know.
They got a new coach.
All right, so we do want to make mention that we will have Fairbanks flavor for you tonight on News Center Final. So with that,
and it's good.
Yeah,
it's a good pizza. Yeah, you want to see that.
We'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, a new study finds lack of exercise is deadlier than obesity. I'm in trouble. It's coming up next to Brian
I go up and
Williams.
down those stairs 20 times a day. I'm in good shape. Join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime on webcenter11.com.
All right, from all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.
Good night.